What is an easement by necessity in property law? Have you ever wondered what happens when a piece of land is completely cut off from access? This is where the concept of an easement by necessity comes into play. An easement by necessity is a legal right that allows a property owner to use part of another person's land to access their own property when no other reasonable access exists. This situation often arises when a parcel of land becomes landlocked, meaning it has no direct access to a public road or essential utilities after being divided from a larger tract that was once owned by the same person. The law recognizes these easements to ensure that landlocked properties remain usable and accessible. To understand when an easement by necessity applies, let's look at some key conditions. First, there must be a common ownership history. This means that the dominant estate, which benefits from the easement, and the servient estate, which is burdened by it, were once owned by the same person or entity before the property was divided. Next, there is the requirement of strict necessity. This means there must be no other reasonable or practical way to access the dominant estate except by crossing the servient estate. Additionally, the path or area used for the easement should be reasonable and minimally intrusive to the servient estate. An easement by necessity is typically implied by law and does not requiring a formal agreement at the time of property division. It remains in effect as long as the necessity exists and cannot be sold or transferred separately from the dominant property. Common legal mistakes related to easements by necessity often stem from misunderstandings about these conditions. Property owners may mistakenly assume they have an easement without meeting the strict necessity requirement. They may also fail to document the easement properly, which can lead to disputes. Another frequent error is not recognizing that the easement exists only because of the original unity of ownership. If alternative access becomes available, the easement may end. To avoid these mistakes, it is important to verify the history of property ownership to confirm the unity and severance of title. Ensure that no other reasonable access exists before claiming an easement by necessity. Clearly defining the location and scope of the easement can help reduce conflicts. Consulting legal counsel when dividing land can also address access issues proactively, possibly by creating express easements in writing. Understanding these elements helps prevent disputes between neighbors and protects property owners' rights to access their land without infringing on others' property rights.